So I've got two kits. I've got the Polaris wide door kit, which adds a couple of inches. It boasts about 2 inches sticking out on either side. And then added to that, I've got the UTV Giant Lower Door inserts. It also comes with the little triangle pieces. This whole area has been left wide open with the stock doors. So I'm going to do doors soup to nuts today. Just one more thing to round out the installation. We're going to be also putting on a Pro Armor door inserts. I actually had these on the previous doors. I've already taken off, so I've removed the foam on the inside on both sides, and we'll be adding those to the new doors as well. The first thing we had to do with this old door is go ahead and take out the latch assembly. There's just 2 small screws, but once you get those 2 screws out, we're going to have to remove the entire back plate here. I need to put in my latch first. It's the most important piece, so I'm just going to put that in there. Just as it was when we took them out, there's a little bit of thread locker on them, so I went ahead and it looked like red, but I'm using blue. So while the kits mostly give you all the hardware you need, for instance, here are the torque screws that you would use both for the latch assembly. You see it's got the small T25 ones in there, and the ones that would go into the door itself to hold on the outer housing. I'm going to reuse those existing ones. I have no problem with those. Those work just fine for me. However, it does want you to reuse the ones that you used with the hinge. Now you'll notice these ones that came on the hinge, I actually stripped one out completely, are not your standard screws that you would use in everywhere else on the razor. This is one of the normal ones, and these are the smaller but fatter ones that go only on the hinges. So the next step is actually more or less to mock it up. A couple of things I've already noticed about installing this lower door. It's not necessarily anyone's fault, but we're trying to do 3 things at the same time. They don't necessarily all line up. You can see where some of those larger holes are going to be the ones that we're going to use to attach the outer frame to, but they're covered up in some places, and in fact those are the same ones that we're going to want to use to install our inside the door bag assembly. So I might have to drill out some additional holes just to make that work. At least that's the simplest explanation of how I'm going to make it work. You can play with the fitment a little bit, but still I find there's a huge gap there at the back of the door. So I had another couple of minor annoyances. Once you kind of get it installed, you have to take off that hex screw, or torque screw I should say, of course, but in doing so, it kind of changes the attitude of the door a bit, and so it doesn't necessarily line up correctly with the strike every time. So you have to kind of lift it up and about to try and make that work. This part in the middle here that they've given you has a that nut clip that you put in on the other side. Well, if you don't do that first when you put the door in, then you're going to have a real hard time trying to install anything. So I had to take off the door, install that nut clip so that I could come around and put this screw, of course, on the inside, and this one stays in. I'm just going to go ahead and screw that one in a little bit more. The challenge I have now, though, I will close it. You can see it's in the strike, but it's not perfectly lined up. It's about 3/4 of the way down, which is not where I want it to be. So I'll fix that by lifting it up. But again, it's a fitment issue. I've got a large gap all around there. Now I know they gave you some rubber metal, some rubber housing here to make it easier on you, but this is actually sticking out. You can see that's almost inviting more to come in, kind of defeating the purpose. Of course, we still have this at the back. So I know that I'm going to need, that screw hole right there and that one right there in order to install my inner door bags, my Pro Armors. So I guess I'm going to have to go ahead and drill those out now. So I'll see what kind of drill bit I need to use, and we'll see how difficult this whole adventure will be.